I'm back. Shall we begin? This week we are going to be reading fall books. I don't know how many, more than one. I feel like my reading vlogs usually consist of one book, and that's just because I am not a fast reader when it comes to during the week. I have been known to finish books like really fast, but I have to be so into it that it is like criminally insane. I'm staying up on a work night until like 1 a.m. and that is very rare for me because I do like to prioritize sleep because I'm just not one of those people. I don't think it's fun to be tired, and I do get deep purple eye bags from not getting enough sleep, so it is very rare that I will do that. But I went to Barnes & Noble's. I attempted to pick up 2 books, but I was only able to pick up one. There was not a physical copy of this book at my Barnes & Noble, so I decided to get it on Audible. I'm doing like a 3-month discounted subscription, so it's like $8 for 3 months, so I'm trying that out. But the book that I got is If It Makes You Happy. I haven't really listened to any of it. It had a playlist at the beginning, and if you've been watching me, you know that playlists are like low-key. They were in an ick video of mine, but I do try to give them a chance. I'm not just a hater. I'm not incapable of changing my mind, and this is case in point. I actually looked up the songs for this playlist and I actually really liked them. I felt like it was a very cohesive playlist, and maybe that's because it is a fall book. It's easier for me to like something if it's a fall or like Christmas book. However, I do feel like they might get redundant if that's the case, and I feel like normal books, it would be easier to judge the playlist because it's like, what's the vibe you're trying to tell us? Like, I don't understand why we've got Dua Lipa and Skrillex on the same playlist, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But this playlist was actually really good. It was very fall and witchy, fit the vibe, fit the cover. I am going to be listening to this at work primarily. I'll just be updating you probably every time that I come home and do a break. Other than that, the other book that I picked up at Barnes & Noble's that I successfully purchased was Alchemized. I don't know if this one will make the fall reading vlog that we're doing right now. It is just really big. It's almost a 1,000-page book. Actually, I think it is 1,000 pages. 1,023 pages. I just don't know if I can do that realistically. I actually don't have any other books like picked out yet. I have some on the top of mind. I have a few indie like authors books on Kindle. I thought about maybe giving a go. I thought it could be fun. On chapter 10, the main character, Michelle, she has moved to this small town and taken over her deceased mom's bed and breakfast, and originally it was supposed to be the other sister, so whenever she gets there, everybody's like, I thought you were Sarah or whatever her name was. I thought you were gonna be her. And she's like, nope, I'm the other one. So obviously there's some sort of like tumultuous relationship between her and her mom. She left her sister the bed and breakfast, but her sister is continuing her education, won't be taking over until December. And the next door neighbor is Cliff and his 2 daughters. The little relationship that they form is him teaching her how to be more hospitable because she's a little like not sure how to talk to people hospitality way, like bedside manner. But if she's one-on-one with someone, like she's totally fine. But like at first I was like, dang, homegirl can't take a joke, making joke after joke, and she was just not getting it. Like she was just so caught off guard by the jokes. I was like, oh no, is she not gonna be funny? Because somebody who can't take a joke is genuinely the worst, and I was like, I don't think I can read about that, but it's fine. Like she's good. She's me talking to strangers. Like I'm just like, you're on vacation, you want to be left alone, and they're like, this is a B&B, I came here to be entertained, and I'm like, right, yeah. It's really fun. I love the dynamic that the dad has with his 2 daughters. There's a lot of banter. I feel like we don't get that a lot with children. I also like that it's more than one child. Oftentimes, like the single dad trope, it's literally just like token toddler that runs around and like makes them like handsome and a good father and all that good jazz. But like he has a teenager and a elementary school kid. There are side characters, but like even like the daughters, like eldest daughter, she's got like this whole like thing going on with her mom, and I really like just the details that are being added. This is also taking place in the 90s, so like all the little references are super fun to hear about, and it's really setting the tone. And I'm actually loving like the phone thing, calling in weekly to check up once a week on the phone, and I think that that is like a fun change from like going from other books where you're doing like text exchange on the pages. It's so fun that she's having like weekly catch-ups with her sister and like checking in on everyone, and I'm really liking that actually. I'm also really liking just the banter in general, like with the kids, with the sister, and like the way that they talk to each other when she's finally like comfortable and starts like talking to him the way that he talks to everyone. It's really fun. It's really fun. And I really like that it's like a fall book, but it is not just a cash grab. I feel like a lot of themed books, Christmas books, fall books, I feel like they're cash grabs, if I'm being so honest. And I'm not getting this vibe. I feel like you could read this at any time of year and you would appreciate it as a good book. It's not just good because it is fall. And that's the highest compliment that I could offer to this book. You know, sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, it's probably not very interesting to watch videos of me because I can't shut up. Like, I just have a lot to say. And I know, like, if I would just shut up and just get to the point most of the time, they might be more enjoyable. But, like, I have thoughts, I have feelings. That's the whole purpose. I took a lot of notes, and it's because I don't have a physical copy, so I can't just mark pages, which it's actually starting to grind my freaking gears that I wasn't able to get a physical copy of this book. One, because I love it and I would love to have it as a memento, and two, because I would have finished it last night. But with an audiobook, you can't just, what am I gonna do, lay in bed just and listen? Like, I'm not doing that. It gets to a certain point where you don't have enough things to do to like listen to it. Does that make sense? Because I can't just sit and stare at the wall. I'm not built that way. I love the main character Cliff. I love that instead of him just being a baker and moving on about our day, that it is like ingrained personality. He meets someone, he takes their personality and associates it with like a baking dish and like what that person symbolizes. And I really like that. I feel like it takes, like, you can talk about a passion all day long, but it is really showing us that he has such a passion. And he does this thing where, like, when he meets someone, he does that and he guesses their favorite pastry and then he makes it until he gets it right. And he knows when he's gotten it right, when you can't put it down. So the thing he's been trying to figure out with Michelle is he's been trying to figure out her favorite pastry because he can't figure her out. He can't figure out the pastry. I love that. I love that detail. I love when characters have a passion that is very visible. I talked about earlier how the main character is like so thrown off by him because and the reason is he's not afraid to take up space. And she is very much not used to that. And she's not like that as a person, so it's really throwing her off that he's just like not afraid to take up space. He's putting his arm on the counter, he's reaching over her to grab a mint, like he's talking to people, bantering, like touching them on the shoulder. Like, he's not afraid to take up space. He's not afraid to be loud. He's not afraid to insert himself, and that always catches her off guard. And I love that they keep coming back to that because he is literally just taking up space in her life and she doesn't know what to do about that, and I love it, love it. I'm going to talk about a few of my favorite quotes, and these might be slightly off just because I was doing it while listening and I had to rewind it and, like, you know what I mean? She's talking about him. He gives away casual compliments like Halloween candy. Like, it's really simple, but like it just shows how it's like it's just second nature to him. He's just like, yeah, like, obviously that looks great on you, and then he just goes about his day. Being kind is such second nature to him that it's not like he has to come up with something to compliment someone on. It comes so naturally, and I love that. I love the imagery of that. He's like a touchy-feely person. That's just how he is, like shaking everyone's hand, clapping someone on the back. But it says his touch isn't greedy and doesn't come with implications. It's Halloween night, and so they're walking down the street. I think this is during the haunted house or right after, and something like spooked her in the house and he like grabs her, and genuine. Like, there's nothing, like, it's not, he didn't take her in this haunted house to get her scared and like fill her up, you know what I mean? He wanted her to experience the joy of like this kooky neighbor who sets up a Halloween maze, and everything that he does, it comes with no stipulations. It's just, he's so genuine. That trope of guys either taking girls to movies or taking them into a haunted house, you know, something, that scare factor, it's always a way to get the girl close to you. And that is like in romance, like teen movies, they're like parents or friends are always encouraging teen boys to do stuff like that so that they'll be scared and turn to them. And I just love that this took a moment to be like, no, that's not what's happening here. And I was like, I was a little touched by that. The last quote that I'm gonna say is, he is really having like, it doesn't say he's having a panic attack, but he's having a really like panicky moment, and he calls her, he's like, just distract me. And she starts talking, and he's like her words are like gentle hands untying it themselves, talking about the knots in his stomach. And I just thought that was such like beautiful imagery of like what, like when you're in love or when you have like a best friend and you turn to them, that is such good imagery and a way to describe that feeling of like when you turn to someone and you know that they're just gonna make it all better. They take that horrible moment and they just slowly untwist until you see it from a different perspective. And even if that doesn't happen, you feel better by the end of the call. Like, sure, there's impending doom on the horizon, but we're in the here and now, babe, and they made me feel better. 2 more notes and then I'm gonna shut up and finish the book. I wrote a note that I love that the kids have their own personality. I feel like a lot of times in books like this, kids are a plot device. I talked about this earlier. I wonder if the wind's loud. But I just love that they are their own people and they're not being used as a plot device. The kids are not, they've never once been something that's getting in the way or holding him back. He just is someone who has kids. And it's just part of who he is and what he's got going on. The kids have nothing to do with why this relationship may or may not work. I feel like too often times like kids are used as such a plot device, and I love that the author is just like she's about to be an auto-buy author for me. Miss Julie Olivia, 2 first names, or is that your writing pen name? Either way, love you, girl. I love that she is actually writing. She is very in tune with her characters and with what she has to say. She has a very clear message, and I love that she's not using a person or an event as a plot device. Like, yes, there's an impending time crunch on the horizon, but a lot of times in like romances where they just can't be together, it's a person or a thing. And in this one, it's an impending date. But it's not because someone, like her ex is briefly mentioned, and so is his. And so far, neither of them have come to town and stirred up trouble. There's no miscommunication on that front, and I like that we're not using people as a plot device. We're just living, like it genuinely feels like a slice of life in that way, because we're just going about life as you would if you had just met someone. It's not like some scary villainous character is coming in and making the other one realize that they feel that way. Like, yes, there are some situations going on, but like it's not someone forcing this thing between them to happen by threatening to take it away. You know what I mean? And I really like that. I can't speak for if that is how the book will end.
Sorry about being dramatic. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. I've attempted to gather myself. It was a good book, obviously, but the epilogue is in the dog's POV, and I don't think I've ever read a book like that. Let me set the scene. So Michelle, she and her husband get a divorce at like the beginning of the book. He doesn't even want his dog. Like, he's like, just take my dog, like whatever. He doesn't even want the dog that he got when they were together. And so she does take him, and so like the whole book it's like she doesn't feel like he's her dog and like that he likes her. Like, she's like, he doesn't even like me, like whatever, like he doesn't even like me. They like talk to each other or whatever, and she always makes him seem like annoyed. And it's like the whole book you kind of like, oh, him and the youngest daughter Brittany, like they're each other's people or whatever. Whatever, dude. This is so fucked up. Whatever. Like, I don't even care. It's not even a big deal. It's not even a big deal. It's not even a big deal. I'm fine. But the dog's like talking about people, and he's like, oh, the little girl, oh, the sassy one, the funny guy. Like, he has names for everybody, like the two daughters, and the male main character, like, he has a name for everybody. And he's like, me and funny guy, we kind of tag team. And he's like, but I'm ready to get home to her. And then, like, he goes in the door, and he's like, my girl, and that's his name for her. And I was like, genuinely, I'm sobbing. Oh my god, this is ridiculous.
I apologize for my outburst. I obviously really enjoyed the book, but I am gonna hold off on rating it just because I worry that the outburst is making me want to just give it 5 stars automatically, but I do just want to sit on it and see how I feel in the next day or so, just to make sure, because whenever I have like a reaction like that, if I've enjoyed the rest of the book up until that point, I automatically want to give it a 5 stars, but I don't want to do it too hastily, especially because up until the last 2 hours, which would be like what, the last couple chapters, I was really sitting at like a 4 or 4.5. So it's like, at the end of the day, is it really a big deal if I just give it 5? No, but I do just want to sit on it and see if it comes back to mind within the next day or so, or if I completely move on and forget about it. Because if by tomorrow I'm not thinking about it at all, then it's definitely a 4 star. If my mind keeps creeping back to it, I will give it 5 stars. I've already got the next read available. It is Freeing the Wild. It is an early advanced copy. This was my NetGalley book. I haven't read Paisley Hope yet, but if I love this series, I will go back and reread the rest of her books. Good morning, it's Sunday, and we've got a light shower going on, so I figured we'd read outside. Alright, it is raining, so hopefully you can hear me over light pitter-patter of relaxing rain sounds. Otherwise, enjoy your free ASMR moment. So we are reading Freeing the Wild. I figured I would give you a little synopsis. So basically, Cassie, she is a country music star, and she goes and stays with her sister just as a little reprieve moment, and she ends up meeting someone, and they have like one night together. It says, can their budding love story become more than a one-hit wonder? Because the big thing about this, take a moment and make it last a lifetime. Like, that's essentially what the emphasis is on writing. She writes a song about him and trying to make that moment last a lifetime, I guess. But it's just basically like, is this just like a moment to put in a song, or can it be more than that? So far, like, I am enjoying it. I feel like a few moments are hitting semi-close to home for me, and so I don't know if that'll make me like the book more or if it'll make me like it less. I wouldn't consider this a spoiler because it's in the content warnings at the beginning, so I'm not going to consider this a spoiler. However, if you don't want to hear anything about the book, that's fine. Just know that it is in the trigger warnings that are in the beginning of the book. Our main character, Cassie, she is dealing with the death of a loved one, and it is one of her parents, and I have also dealt with that, and it's talking about like the feelings being associated with that, especially as a young child, and just like not understanding like why you, and like how like it almost doesn't make sense to you when it happens to you so young, and you don't get like why some people still have their parents and you don't, you know what I mean? Because no one's really going in depth with that for like an 8-year-old. Hitting close to home for me, and then a parent also dealing with substance abuse, that is also hitting very close to home with me. And I feel like if we get any in-depth scenes with that, that is going to either make me just very uncomfortable and not want to read it, or it is going to be life-changing for me. So I guess we'll see. I really try to avoid topics like this just because it's not very fun for me to read about trauma that I've dealt with. I don't really find that therapeutic. I just want to put that out there, that some of these things are hitting very close to home for me, and I did not expect that from what was supposed to be a silly cowboy romance, but I do love when books surprise me. We're literally just laying here relaxing. In my husband's truck, because my car's engine, something's wrong with it. I don't know, the engine like cut on and my car was shaking very dramatically. But I've taken some notes and a few things that I've just found like kind of like, I don't know, funny, and they made me realize that the author is definitely not from the South. I don't know what it is about when people either are making movies or writing books about, and the setting is the South, they always want there to be cicadas. Like there's always cicadas in those books, which if you didn't know, cicadas have like a 13 to 17 year life cycle, where like they're literally in the ground for 13 to 17 years. Cicadas are not a year-round thing. We see them in waves, 13 to 17 year waves. So before last year, the last time I saw a cicada that wasn't like a one-off or just like a shell that was like left or whatever, if you've never seen that, look up cicada shells. They're really creepy. The biggest wave previously was when I was in middle school, and then we had a wave in 2014 and we had a wave this year. So they're not a year-round thing, but in books and movies set in the South, you will always see freaking cicadas. Like I said yesterday, my car is not working, so I will be taking a half day at work, so we might as well get some reading in. My camera is actively dying, but small update, just gonna be reading outside. Let's talk about our final ratings. If it makes you happy, I did decide on a final rating. I sat with it for a day or so. I was like thinking about it, but in the sense that I was kind of comparing my other reads to it. Now it's been like a few days. I gave it a few days to like kind of like simmer, process. And I'm gonna go with final rating of a 4. Getting super emotional. I felt like so attached to the characters in the moment. It was like definitely one of the best books I've read this year. Now, I did finish, I don't know why I can't remember the name of this book, the Paisley Hope book. I am going to rate it a 3, and I'm just gonna kind of do a mini wrap up of that. I don't feel that I should share too terribly much about it just because it's not out yet, and there is always the chance that they could change something because it's not being released like tomorrow. If it makes you happy, I gave that a 4, and like it was beautifully well written. The characters, I felt like they were all so fleshed out. I didn't necessarily feel that way with this book, and that could be my own fault because I did not read the first 3 books. It is an interconnected series, so in my eyes, I feel like that does mean it does need to be able to stand on its own, because people aren't always going to know you. They're not going to know all this. They're going to go to Barnes & Nobles. They're going to go to Books A Million. They're going to go to their local bookstore and they're going to see new releases, and they're going to walk up to that table and they're going to pick it up, and when it doesn't say anything or like it's not like it has the number 4 on the side, you know, they're going to pick it up and they're going to read it, and they're not going to know the backstory, just like I didn't. And so it should be able to stand on its own. A 3 for me isn't bad. It's just like, it was a good time. I probably won't think about it again. I might go back and reread the series, and maybe it will become a series that I really enjoy after having all the context. But at one point, I deleted the clips because I did feel like they were semi-spoilery, and I just was like, I don't want any part of that. But I was talking about how some of the characters were introduced. I thought they were old women, and it was like previous female main character leads in the book, and I was like, oh, like I thought they were old people. Just like the way that they were introduced, I was like, oh. So I was kind of like not getting it. So that could have been a problem too for some people, just like not realizing. So that is another reason why I'm giving it a 3, just because. But then I also kind of feel like it's my fault. But then I'm also like, not everybody reads every single book in an interconnected series. And if it is interconnected, that means you should be able to read it without the context of the previous books. Otherwise, it needs to just be labeled as a series, and those are the rules. Be on the lookout for my next video, because I have never been so excited to make a video before. Bye.